Well, hi everybody, welcome back. And thanks for watching. And again, thanks Norman, Carol, and Robert for your input on compromise. What I think about compromise and what I know is compromise is key to any relationship. It's got to be used in each and every relationship we have, whether it's business, friendship, or romantic. It's got to be a lot of things, and there's lots of components to compromise. And one of the pitfalls of compromise that you don't want to fall into is losing more than you're gaining. If you're giving away more of yourself, that's not compromise, that's just giving in. And nobody wants to do that, and nobody ever feels satisfied about that. You know, when I was going through the viewer emails, I got some great tips, and I'm going to read them in just a few minutes. But there are 3 tips about compromise I'd like to share with you today. First of all, you have to have mutual respect for all involved. You can't go into it angry. You have to leave all preconceived notions aside and really think about the respect of the other person. Remember that everybody has a point of view. On a later show, we're going to talk about perspective and other people's perspective, and we have to think about that. Complete honesty in how you feel and think. You know, if you're not completely honest, there's no way you'll ever come up with a win-win situation. You'll only be stuck probably saying yes to something you don't want to and giving in more and then being regretful later. And third, good intentions and goodwill for all involved. Remember, everybody has a reason for their wanting to compromise and what they believe. You need to respect that, and hopefully the other person does too. Before you compromise with anyone about anything, you have to create some basic ground rules. So here are some of them, and you can add more if you'd like, and write me and let me know if you have any more. First of all, it's unacceptable to any party involved that anyone will experience any substantial loss. You have to be willing to compromise and make sure that no one loses more than they're willing to gain. I love this one. It's crucial to the success of the compromise that each person trusts that the other will not take advantage of the other person. That you won't take advantage of a person giving into a point. They're not giving into that point. They're conceding for maybe a point they're going to win. And that's what it's about. It's win-win for both. And mutual agreement that each person involved commits to close a win-win result as a positive outcome. And the last is, you cannot go back and regret if you've lost something. You've got to stick with the agreement, and you have to agree that the compromise is okay. If you've had any failed relationships before, I know I have, I wasn't willing to compromise. I wasn't willing to give of myself. I think that's what it's about. It's about knowing that I'm willing to give more of myself and to really talk with the other person. You know, one of the reasons I'm doing this show is I really wanted to talk with each person and learn about new subjects. I'm learning a lot, and how I come up with topics for the show is I see what's going on in the world and what's in the news. And compromise has been in the news a lot lately, and it intrigued me to find out more about it. I realized there have been times I have not been very good at compromise, and that I need to work on it. So with these simple steps, I can do that. You want to also make sure when you compromise that you feel good at the end of the conversation. It doesn't mean you got everything you wanted. It means that you worked out a solution with somebody you're in a relationship with. And what is it really about in our world? Relationships. You know, I said in previous shows, I've traveled the world and met lots of people. And the one thing I know for sure is, I know for certain, each one of us wants to be heard and respected. And that's what compromise is. I have some great viewer emails I'd like to share with you. The first one comes from Aaron in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Thanks, Aaron, for writing in. And by the way, if you'd like to write into me, go to kevinkuretzkyshow@yahoo.com and write to me, and you never know, I could use it on the air. Aaron wrote, set emotions aside. When seeking to compromise on an issue in a relationship, the first thing you must do is leave emotions out of it. You need to be able to logically look at the situation and think about what you need instead of what you want. Aaron, I love that, and thanks for writing in. Rob from San Francisco wrote, weigh the pros and cons of the situation. I like to write things out so that I know what I'm looking at. And then, when I compare the list, that's what I show the other person. It also helps with complete honesty. We talked about that before, complete honesty. When you write down the pros and cons and you show it to the other person, you're really showing them what you're willing to do. You're giving them that, and that's what compromise is. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate that. Tarek in New York City wrote, remember to think of yourself as a couple, not as individuals. The most stubborn people fall into the trap and think of themselves as not a unit, but as 2 individuals. You'll never be able to compromise if you're only thinking about yourself. That's true. You know, it took me a lot of years in my relationship with my partner to get to this point where I didn't think of us as separate units. Think of us now as one unit. I think of us as one. And that has really helped in our relationship. I know I've grown a lot from that, and that's always what it's about. That's compromise. It doesn't mean I give up anything, and nor does he. It's that we work together for a solution, so it's win-win for both of us. Lynn in Minnesota wrote, and from St. Paul, Minnesota. I used to live in St. Paul, Lynn. I used to live off Grand Avenue, right next to Billy's. I loved it. Pick your battles. There'll be times when you feel so strongly about a topic that you don't want to compromise. But if it's just not taking the laundry out of the dryer, it's not something I'd really fight about, but I would talk about. Remember that those are the times you feel too strong to budge on an issue. Your spouse may be more willing to give in. So instead of nagging someone or barging in on their territory, you discuss it with them. And Lynn, thanks for writing in about that, picking your battles. I love that. I do pick my battles daily. I think what's really important and what's the goal? What is the intention I have? No matter what is happening, I always think about what the main intention is in my day. And that helps me to compromise and to pick the battles that are right. Thanks, Lynn. And then last, Susan from Portland. Susan wrote in, be happy with the outcome and don't linger on what you may have lost. Compromise is not a game of winning and losing. It is a win-win situation. You're doing what's best for you as a couple, and it'll be beneficial for your future. And once the decision is made, let go of any emotions that may cause you to be unhappy with the decision. Thank you, Susan, and it's true. It isn't about winning or losing. A smarter man than me said, would I rather be happy or would I rather be right? I don't know about you folks, but what I know for certain is I'd rather be happy. And that's what compromise is. Win-win for both, working it out. And if you'd like to learn more about compromise, go to kevinkuretsky.com and there'll be more links to compromise on that. So compromise, to sum up, it's really just working with somebody else, hearing what they have to say, hearing what you have to say, and coming up with a solution together that's amicable for both of you. I want to thank you for our discussion today. Again, I want to thank Norman, I want to thank Robert, and of course Carol for their insight on compromise today. And I want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. I'm having the best time doing this. It's a lot of fun. I'm learning a lot. And what I'm learning most is we are more alike than we are different. So, for Kevin's Dish today, here's what I want to say. I think it's time that we all look at things in compromise terms. I think as Americans, we are owed that. I look at our politicians in Washington right now, and it makes me sad. It makes me sad for each one of us. Because they're taking their own values and their own beliefs, but they're not working with each other. They don't think about the people who are important. And that's us, the public. Think about that next time you want to win. Is it better to win, or is it better to compromise? Well, thanks for joining me today. Join me tomorrow as we do our first Hollywood Friday. It's a lot of fun. I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in on The Kevin Kuretzky Show. And remember, The Kevin Kuretzky Show is brought to you by Smokey and Giraffe Sweet Treats, where we bring sweetness into your life. Go to www.smokeyandgiraffe.com for a complete menu and order. Until tomorrow, have a great day, and thanks for watching. Remember, we're all in this together.